Okay, rules for indices, here they are, and there's 7 of them. But before we look at the rules individually, let's just have a look and see what indices are. Indices is plural of index. So when we write down 4 to the power of 5, 5 is the index of 4. And what it means, quite simply, is write down the 4 that many times, 5 times, and then multiply. And here's an example. 3 to the power of 6, 6 is the index, and so 3 to the power of 6 means write down 3 6 times and then multiply. So 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, there's 6 threes, and then we multiply them all together. And the answer to that is 729. You might want to try that in the calculator. The rules then. The first rule is pretty straightforward, I think, if we consider especially what a to the m means and a to the n. And here's an example with some numbers. If we do 3 to the power of 5 and we multiply that by 3 to the power of 6, then our rule tells us that the answer is 3 to the power of 11. And the reason for that is that 3 to the power of 5 means write down 3 5 times, multiply together. And 3 to the power of 6 means write down 3 6 times and multiply them together. And then we're going to multiply the two results. So there's 5 threes multiplied together, there's 6 threes multiplied together, and we're going to times them together. So how many threes have got all together? That would be 11. And what are we doing with those 11 threes? We're multiplying them. So the easy, fast way of writing that is 3 to the power of 11. We use the index notation, just like that. However, and here's the but, many people get confused because 4 squared times 5 cubed is 4 squared times 5 cubed. It's not 20 to the power of 5 and it's not 20 to the power of 6. No, because this means write 4 down twice and multiply. This means write 5 down 3 times and multiply, then multiply the result together. And if you try that in the calculator, then you'll see that neither of these answers, 20 to the power of 5 or 20 to the power of 6, actually gives the same as 16 times 125, which is what 4 squared times 5 cubed would be. The second rule. A number to a power divided by the same number to a power. What do? We take away one power from the other. For example, 6 to the power of 7 divided by 6 to the power of 4 means this. 6 to the power of 7 is 7 sixes multiplied together. That's a big number. Then we divide by 4 sixes written down together and multiplied. And each one of these 6's on the bottom cancel with one of the 6's on the top. So this one cancels with that one. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Another 6 divided by the second 6 is 1. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 6 divided by 6 is 1. And what we're left with is 3 6's on the top, and the rest are just 1's multiplied together. And you can see 1 times anything is still 1. 1 times 1 is 1, times another 1 is 1, times another 1 is 1. So we've done the 6th rule as well. 1 to the power of anything is equal to 1. And so the answer to this is 6 to the power of 3, because I've just got 6 times 6 times 6 on the top, 3 6's multiplied together. I write that as 6 to the power of 3. My next one, let's look at this one. We've got a number to a power, and then the answer to that we raise to another power. The rule is we multiply the powers together. For example, 4 squared to the power of 3, what does that mean? It means write down 4 squared 3 times and multiply them together. But each one of these 4 squareds is 2 4's multiplied together. So in total, we're going to have 6 4's, and then each one of those 4's is multiplied together. So the answer is 4 to the power of 6. Okay, I'm going to skip down to rule 7. But first of all, I'll just write in number 6. Any number of 1s multiplied together is equal to 1. Because 1 times 1 is 1, times another 1 is 1, times another 1 is 1, and so on. All times in 1 is always going to be 1. So it doesn't matter how many 1s we've got multiplied together, the answer is always going to be 1. Okay, anything to the power of 0 is 1, except 0. And the reason for that is, well, let's think about it. 4 to the power of 5 divided by 4 to the power of 5. What do? We use rule 2, where a number to a power divided by a number to a power is that number to the power of the differences. So 5 take away 5 is 0. So 4 divided by 4 to the power of 5 divided by 4 to the power of 5 is 4 to the power of 0 by the second rule. But 4 to the power of 5 divided by 4 to the power of 5 is a number divided by itself. And whenever we get a number divided by itself, then the answer is 1. But not 0. 0 to the power of 0 means 0 divided by 0. And we cannot divide by 0, so we say 0 to the power of 0 is not defined. These last two rules, 4 and 5, that we haven't done so far, these are quite tricky to understand. They're very easy to learn and use, and as we use them to simplify indices, then you'll see how really quite simple and straightforward they are. But thinking about it, they're a little bit cumbersome to actually get to. But if we think about this rule 4, a number to a minus power equals 1 over the same number to the positive power. So 6 to the minus 3 is equal to 1 over 6 cubed, 6 to the power of plus 3. And what that means is that if we think about 6 to the power of 3 times 6 to the minus 3, then by rule 7 and rule 1, we've got to add the powers to get 6 to the power of 0, because 3 minus 3 is 0. But 6 to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So 6 to the power of 3 times 6 to the minus 3 is equal to 1. And if we divide both sides by 6 to the power of 3, we've got to divide 1 by 6 to the power of 3. So there you go. 6 to the minus 3 is equal to 1 over 6 to the power of plus 3. What many people confuse here is they want to write something which is not true. There's a minus power here, so many people will want to put in 6 to the minus 3 is equal to minus 1 over 6 cubed, or something like that. There is no minuses here. There are no minuses in the answer. 6 to the minus 3 is equal to 1 over 6 cubed. It's not a minus result. It's the power which is minus. The power. Alright, bear with me on the fifth one. It's quite tricky to describe, but like I said for number 4, when we're actually using this to simplify indices, then it's really quite straightforward. A to the power of 1 over m is the nth root of a, that's what we say. And here's an example. 5 to the power of third is equal to x. So whatever the 5 to the power of third answer is when we put it into a calculator, if you like, we're going to call that number x. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to cube both sides. I'm going to raise both sides to the power of 3. So if I raise 5 to the third to the power of 3, I've got to raise x to the power of 3. But if we look at rule 3, a number to a power and then raise all that to a power, what do we do with the powers? We multiply them. And a third times 3 is 1. So x cubed is equal to 5. But let's think about what happens when we cube root each one of each side now. So we've got 5 is equal to x cubed. If I cube root each side, then a number to the power of 3 cube rooted takes me back to the number. So there's both sides cube rooted, but the cube root of x to the power of 3 is just x. So the cube root of 5 is equal to x. But x, look, remember, was 5 to the power of a third. So that means that the cube root of 5 is equal to 5 to the power of a third. Okay, there's 7 rules. The fourth and fifth rule here are really a little bit cumbersome to describe. you'll see in the examples, in the questions that I've done, in the work questions, how we need to practice doing these so that these two especially become fairly straightforward for us to consider and to manipulate. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a look at my other videos. Bye for now.